Where is Amy Bradley? I'm like smiling, right? Amy Bradley is missing. Spoilers. This whole episode is just all spoilers, so if you want to watch it, make sure you watch this already first on Netflix. She obviously... Okay, so I'm on episode 1, and I just started, so I haven't gotten... I'm only 3 minutes in. I just saw, like, the little clips and stuff in the intro, and they're saying, like, nobody knows where she is. I don't know if by the end of this episode this gets solved. I would love that. But she obviously got thrown or pushed over into the ocean. And because the cruise ship is always moving, she just got deteriorated into the sea. Literally, that's the only way. That's the only way. She's on a cruise ship. You know, nobody, they said like somebody put her body in a suitcase. They think that she's still alive. They're like, you know, all these things. But it's so obvious. It's like to be on that, it was a huge yacht, but like to be on like that little boat, that it's a huge cruise ship. But to be on like that little boat, you know, and just like, she obviously went into the water. There is no way for her body to leave that area without leaving evidence, such as like blood, DNA, etc. They definitely just pushed her overboard. She fell overboard. Maybe there was an accident and then something happened to her, and then they just wanted to get rid of the evidence and they just put her overboard. Interested to see this story. They did a good intro into the leeway for the introduction of Brad Bradley's name by inserting a commentary when someone was like Amy and Brad, and I'm like, does she really have a brother named Brad Bradley? And then it shows him right there and it's like Brad Bradley. They did a good intro. Most of my low points. Brad, sorry for your loss, but if you're single... Okay guys, plot twist. Turning point. Okay, this is actually really good. Okay, so now that Brad is telling the story about them both returning to the parents' cabin, going onto the balcony. Why the fuck do they have a balcony on a cruise ship? That is so scary, because obviously it's overboard into water. And that they're just like finishing their drinks. That's suspicious. And he's like smoking cigarette. Okay, Brad, don't call me. And then now they're just gonna go to sleep, but she doesn't feel so well, so she's just gonna stay out here. And she also mentioned that a band member made a pass on her. Okay, guys. Woman's intuition, cute doll's intuition. She never made it to the room. She did not come back into the cabin room at 3:40 p.m. 5 minutes after him. First of all, why did he leave her outside in the party? That was my first red flag. He's like, okay, I went down and I just left her there. She's like a girl. It doesn't matter. Like, she's your sister. Usually, like, whenever I go anywhere with my sisters, it's like we never leave alone. We always leave together. Ow! We always leave together. And then, so that's already wrong. That he left her, he's involved in her disappearance. He's the reason why she's missing. Because something happened to her, and he didn't redeem her, or bring her back with him to the room. He's claiming, I went back to the room by myself. Then 5 minutes later, Amy came. How? You said you went all the way down to the bottom deck and then like went back to your room. How could she only take 5 minutes only to return right after you? That's wrong. Bad timeline. How they said that they were finishing their drinks. It's not like, whenever I go on like cruise ships and stuff, because I was like at the SS Rotterdam and stuff like that last year in Holland and everything. It's like you don't walk around with your drink like outside of the, like I drank at the restaurant if they're having parties and disco and stuff, you drink at the disco, your drink is done, you get another one, but you don't like walk around the whole cruise ship holding a drink back to your room. That's wrong. You did not finish your drinks in the cabin, because usually like drinks, they're like so small and so yummy and so enticing. You just finish your drink right there. If you want to have another one, you get another one. But it's not enough that you just like gonna be like, let me just carry this drink around. I've never ever seen people walk around a cruise ship with drinks. It's kind of a thing like if you're eating, you're dining, you have your drink. If you're at a disco, a bar, you have your drink, you know. But usually, like even in Las Vegas where it's allowed to walk around with your drinks, people usually don't. They usually just like have it where they're enjoying it, like at the bar, at the show, at the whatever, at the event. And then they go to their next destination and they enjoy their drinks there. Even though it's common, like you see like those icy alcoholic bars and everything in Vegas, it's very uncommon that you see somebody who's carrying around like a huge cup of iced alcoholic thing and just sipping it all the time, like how it is, looks like in the movies and stuff like that. Like I've been there many times. It's kind of like you go to the area, you enjoy it, and you finish it or you leave it, and then you go to the next area and then you enjoy it again, and then you go to the next area. It's not like you walking and like. So definitely everything he said right there, complete lie. He's involved in it. She never made it back to the room. And he's just trying to pin it on somebody else. All right. I think that Bradley did it. I think that because after hearing the father's testimony now, like of his timeline of events, he said he saw her out there at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and then when he, like 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock, and then when he, like 3 o'clock, he opened his eyes and he saw her feet there. He thought that she's okay. Like seriously, it's a balcony next to the ocean. You should definitely just bring her inside, or at least put a blanket out there or something. It's cold by the ocean. And then at 5 o'clock, she's like gone. But her shirt is just there. So I think what happened is that the brother, like, I think right there, I think she was already dead. And he threw her overboard, but just took off her shirt before he threw her. Because there's only one way out. There's only over the balcony. And he took off her shirt and just put it there so it'll look like, oh, she changed and now she exited the scene. So that's why the placement of the shirt was there. And it was only the brother who last saw her. He mentioned she was not feeling well. So you're just gonna leave her on the balcony? Like, what the fuck? None of it makes sense. Love how everyone on the boat has seen her and knows who she is. It sounds like a me kind of story. Me as in Hugh Doll. Okay. Additional theory. I think that she started talking to that old man over the balcony sector, and then he convinced her, like, to climb over the balcony into his thing, into his compartment, but like leave her shirt behind so it doesn't get wet or something. And that's why she took off her shirt, she put it on the little chair, and she left her shoes. She climbed like a little monkey, like over the balcony thing into the next balcony, and then she was in there, in that room, got murdered and thrown overboard. But I think that's what happened. I think everybody thinks he's suspicious or whatever, but at the end, you could see at the end of them asking his question, his eyes shift to the right or left, whatever, because he's lying in his very last sentence. And Yeah, he definitely has something to do with it, because I remember when I was living in Hawaii and I was with my ex-fiance, and we had balconies like that, and I always used to like look over the balcony and like look around, and I could see like my neighbor's balcony was just right next to me, and I was so glad that nobody used their balcony, just me, so that I could just have like, you know, privacy. But I do remember how close those balconies are, and like I always do imagine like that is just like too close, so they're literally connected. So yeah, I think she went over the balcony into the other man's apartment, and that she got murdered and thrown overboard to get rid of the evidence. Oh my god. Okay. Amy, still drunk, gets up, changes her shirt into something cuter. This is my theory. And then just walks out of the room and leaves just after 5:30. So like her dad wakes up at 5:30, sees her sleeping outside in the balcony. Then right after that, she gets up, takes her shirt off, puts it on the chair, changes into something cute, and goes hang out with Yellow on the rooftop of the boat where he pushes her off. Okay. Nope, not buying it. They flew the family back home as soon as they got to Puerto Rico instead of letting them go on the Puerto Rico. That cruise ship was just covering up for themselves the entire time. The cruise captain had no remorse. He didn't care. The cruise must go on. He literally said it himself. They just don't want the family lurking around, giving bad vibes to the other customers. I understand it's a really nice cruise ship, really nice, whatever. But honestly, if that's the last place you saw somebody, you're still looking for them, I would stay until the very end. I would stay until the very end. You know, like what if she just pops up? What if she just shows up? What if she got left on another island? What if something like, at first I thought that's what happened, like it was like in between islands, like while they're visiting an island, and then I was like, oh, that's not that intriguing. But then because, you know, she disappeared when they were on the water. But I would still I would not leave the crime scene. And the fact that they just flew them away, cleaned their cabins, brushed it under the rug, it's because the cruise ship know that stuff like this can happen, and they probably know exactly who did it, which was Yellow, and they just didn't want any allegations and legal actions to be taken against them, so that they just hushed it, flew the family home. Like, she's still missing. Fly the family home if the body is found. She's still missing. And the family just agrees with everything. And then the fact that they said that they searched all the cabins, it took 45 minutes only, but they locked the family in the room. Like the family didn't even see the search happening. It's like, that's also a red flag. The only reason why my theories are getting all crisscrossed and crazy is because they keep changing the narratives, and they get to choose the order that they tell us all the events and everything and all the new information. When he heard her say Brad, that was probably Amy's ghost. Halfway through the final episode, episode 3, I can't believe they have put other influencers who are doing the same thing I'm doing. She's not in Barbados. She's not in Barbados because if it's been hit that many times, and when all the tourists go, the entire nation's gonna always just look for Amy Bradley. Americans that live in Barbados are gonna like always just be looking for her. They're gonna like create their own little things and just keep looking for her. So if anything, they just moved her to something else. But I believe my earlier theories from before. It's like basically, it's like something happened to her and she went over that balcony. I don't think she exited the ship, because it doesn't make sense. Like, how could you exit the ship? Because where would you be from 6 a.m. until the rest of the time? They said that they probably hid her in a cabinet or whatever, or in areas that they don't have access, that only the band has access to, whatever. It doesn't make sense. You can't just walk out with her, because at 6 a.m. they're still like floating, you know, they haven't like landed at their destination yet. So yeah, she definitely didn't walk off the boat. If she was like taken against her will, actually we want her to be taken off the boat, because I mean she's still alive. I think that's why so many people go with that theory. But all of the sightings that they said that they all saw her, and they all said that they all saw a girl named Amy, the same thing happened for this other girl in a different crime series, where people were like, oh yeah, we saw her just across the river in a different city, and she's just a stripper now. And that's what they always say. But meanwhile, like, the own stepdad murdered his daughter, and that rumor just went wild, and everyone's like, oh yeah, okay, she's just a stripper somewhere else. So like, the same way, it's like that story could be used to just cover up them looking for like murder case evidence. But I think she pretty much went overboard. I know you would say like a body would be washed over shore and all these other things, but I think they just got really lucky and just got rid of the body, and they just got really lucky. They just overboard, and then and I do think Yellow was involved, because that's why he was so scared. And also, all the photos that he had in his suitcase were just all trophies. I think that there were like multiple disappearances also, but they all get covered up, or the people just didn't know that many people, so it just doesn't get like reported. Like, they're just people who just maybe they did not come with their whole family. And obviously the cruise line knows something's up, because this is like a normal thing for them, and they knew how to cover it up really well. So I think basically she never left the boat. I think she got thrown overboard, and the people that did it were either like that weird neighbor or Alistar at 6 a.m. when he went up the elevator with her. The disco was already closed at 3 a.m. So, and then they saw him. Those two girls saw him when they went back to their room by 6 a.m. So, I mean, I want to be wrong. I have like no intuitive feelings about this case. I can't really tell at all. And the reason I blame the Netflix documentary for scrambling all the evidence, not putting it linear, putting a lot of red herrings for entertainment purposes, and then mixing up all the information, and also lack of credibility with the sources, like weird with the website, like how interested that guy was. Well, maybe he just wants to prove that he was telling the truth, that he saw her, but it's just so weird. Like, you pencil out like, oh, Barbados is looking at me for 50 minutes every Christmas, you know. It's just it's weird. It's really weird. So yeah, that's what I think. Not real, like, obviously this is for me kind of a cold case where they say it's still missing. Those pictures that surfaced that look just like her, I mean, it could be anybody. It could be anybody. When people age, they look so different. Like, I look so different than I used to look when I was younger, so we have no idea what she looks like. The only thing is, I wished those people would have helped her. And also, one more thing is, I believe that when those people saw her, and that girl was like, my name is Amy Bradley, I think his suspicion is completely right, that a lot of girls will just say anything just to try to get out of their situation when they're at that point. So it's probably people just trying to pretend to be her since they know that she's missing, and they could just get help by saying that they are her. So yeah, that's what I think, especially since the case got so big. But if anything, they definitely moved her out of Barbados, because that is such a hot point and all the tourists would just be looking for her forever now. And they definitely moved her out of there because she has such recognizable face, features, accent, and name and story that, like, whoever's associated with her will get in trouble. So definitely would move her. My hope, if I had to choose one story, I just hope that it's like the Stockholm Syndrome theory, that just basically she has children and she's away somewhere that is like safe and, you know, like they said in the series, sipping Mai Tais on the beach, whatever. But my gut from the beginning of the story just told me it all ended right there on that balcony, right there on that balcony at a little past 5:30 in the morning. Or she, like, I just really can't see that she's left the room because nothing is open in the whole boat. She's not caught on any other cameras, you know. Then where does she spend all morning, like, if the disco is closed? You know, where does she spend all that time? How does she wait for the boat to open? Why does she just voluntarily walk out of the boat with some person at like 8, 9 a.m. when her family is going to be worried about her? You know, and nothing makes sense. But if we're saying like the whole person is missing, and her key card and her jeans and, you know, everything, she's missing as a whole, it's overboard on that balcony. That's where it happened. And if she did just take off the yellow shirt and then just left again to go party with the guy, Alistar, and then like the disco was closed and then they went to the roof, he threw her overboard. Like, it's the only way. There's no way that you're just walking out with her, you know what I'm saying? And all of the sightings are like very common theories for all crimes, not just this one. People always would be like, I saw her. But these were very specific and they were all like on the same island and stuff. But like I said, for the one with the Navy guy, I think like that someone was pretending to be her because they were so specific. And then for the one with the woman washing her hands in the bathroom, that girl just said her name is Amy, and that's a very common name. And also that girl had children, so that was like very different. But yeah, I do wonder what happened. I mean, if she was just in Barbados, she would just be seen, especially since she's been going to touristy areas or areas that the tourists are going to, and they're crossing and seeing her. So because it has been 19 years, I definitely think it's definitely right there on that balcony. That's where everything happened. I think it was a murder scene right there, and they threw her over and they got away with it. Or if she left the room again, like, I'm saying she never left that boat. What is the top conspiracy for? I think they always just say the kidnapping one and the abduction one because it just brings them hope that she'll be still alive. But for me, like, there's no body, there's no evidence, there's no, like, she didn't reach out. But those people, they do get very, it says that theory remains most persistent and compelling in the public imagination because of the number of reported sightings and the way that the case has been handled. Family continues to believe she still may be alive. I'm telling you. I just want to know something about the water though. If thrown overboard, is there a chance no body will surface? Yes, if someone is thrown overboard, especially in the open sea conditions, like in the cruise ship in the Caribbean, there's a real possibility a body may never surface or be found. A lot of those officials, they don't want to look for her. They don't want to find a body. They don't want to find any more clues. They don't want anyone to speak up about it because then they're gonna be in trouble. And then a lot of the criminals, they want everyone to believe about the trafficking theories so that nobody looks for a body and that they never get caught in the murder. So yeah.